Welcome back to my channel. On today, I'm going to show you how to make a fabulous bouillon using turkey necks. I'm going to also I have some live blue crabs. See, they're moving. So I'm going to add some snow crab in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything cleaned, and I'll come back and show you how we make this delicious bouillon. Our turkey necks are nice and clean. I'm going to add some of my Epis in there. That's fine. We're going to add back some of our fresh lime juice. Lime juice. I reserved some. Usually I like to add fresh sour orange, but I don't have sour orange. So I'm going to use some of this mojo. So you shake it. I'm not going to add much. This is more than enough. And I'm going to add some of this Sazon package. And this is a non-MSG one. And you may say this is a little bit of meat, and I'm adding so much seasoning. Keep in mind, we're going to add a whole bunch of liquid once this cooks so we can create our bouillon, okay? So I'm adding some ground clove, or you could use whole cloves. That's enough. I'm going to add some adobo, because we want to make sure our turkey neck is nice and flavorful. And once we add all the liquid, we want to make sure it still has that nice flavor to it. I'm going to add some black pepper. And if you notice, some garlic powder. And I have fresh garlic in my Epis. Like I always say, I like garlic, so I add just a little extra. I'm going to add some seasoning salt. And if you notice, I did not use any Maggi. I'm out of the non-MSG Maggi, which is not a big deal. You can cook your food without Maggi, and it will still be delicious. Trust me. Okay? So you just want to go ahead and stir this. I should have got my wooden spoon because I don't want to make the scraping noise. Oh, here's my wooden spoon. Okay, so we're going to stir this like that. Make sure all the seasoning gets all on your turkey necks. And I'm going to allow this to sit around for maybe about 30 minutes. I mean, you don't have to, only because I want to cut my vegetables, so I'm going to just allow it to sit for a little bit. Okay? Alright, now you want to add your lime all over the crab. And I also like to take this time out and rub it all on my snow crab too. I want to make sure everything is nice and clean, because I have no idea, what they did to it when they caught it. So once it comes home, once I buy it, I just like to, just clean it off. Okay. Once you rinse everything off, okay, you rub it on like this. Make sure everything. Okay. And then I'm going to rinse it with cold water under the sink. I think we took all that crap out of there. All right, just want to show you our crabs. See how nice and clean they are? Beautiful. We're going to set them aside for now. I'm going to come and show you what so now what we're going to do is add our crabs in. The blue crabs only. The snow crabs, they're already pre-cooked. So I'm not going to add those in now. So I'm going to cover this And we're gonna allow this to sweat, okay? So it's gonna produce some of its own juices, and we're gonna allow it to cook in those juices for about, I would say, 10 minutes. All right, this has been cooking for about 15 minutes now, okay? See, they produce this own liquid, and as you can see, the liquid is starting to evaporate. This is where you want it to be, see? The liquid is almost gone. So what I like to do now, it smells amazing in here. I like to add some hot water. Okay, I'm gonna put some hot water. So I have hot boiling water. I'm gonna add some fresh thyme and some fresh parsley. And then we're gonna add our Scotch bonnet pepper. And the Scotch bonnet, I don't poke it. Everything is just for the flavor, because this is the real Scotch bonnet, so it's gonna add a lot of nice flavor to our liquid here. Okay, so now my stove was on high. I'm gonna go ahead and reduce it to a number 3. And we're gonna allow our turkey necks to cook until nice and tender. And our crabs, I'm gonna remove them within, I would say, the next 5 minutes. While our turkey necks are cooking, I just want to show you some of the vegetables that I will be using. You can use whatever vegetables you like. You can cater this to your taste buds. Okay, so I'm going to be using this white sweet potato. Okay, I have 2 of them. We're going to use some plantains, some green plantains. We're going to use carrots. We're going to use some fresh corn. We're also going to use some yellow yam. I have some frozen spinach. You can use fresh ones, but I have the frozen ones, so this is what I'm going to use, and they're good as fresh. And we're also going to use some watercress. Okay, so I'm letting them soak in the water, and then what I do is come in and just make sure they're nice and clean. Okay, and then I'll take my knife and just cut this part off. It's just easier for me. Okay, all right, this has been cooking on a number 3, and our turkey necks are done, guys. They're nice and soft. Yep, they're nice and soft. So what I'm gonna do is, you can either, I mean, if you saw my beef with crab video, I actually, removed the liquid and I gave it color. But I'm not gonna do it this time. I mean, there's 101 ways that you can make this. So what I'm gonna do is transfer them over to my pot. I'm gonna just add just a little bit of oil on top of them. Okay, and then put them in my oven. Okay, we're gonna put on the boil on a high, and we're gonna allow this to give it a nice color. Okay, and like I said, if you want, you can remove the liquid, add some tomato paste and oil and give it a nice brown color, but I don't want to go through that today. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it a little different, and please do not comment. As you can see, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you should know I definitely know how to give meat color, okay, on the stove top, but I'm doing it different. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil on the top like this. That's gonna just help it to get a nice color. I'm gonna stick it in the oven, and then I'll come back. All right, while we were waiting on our turkey to get a nice brown color, I'm gonna go ahead and add some oil. You don't need too much oil. That should be about enough. And to my oil, I'm gonna add some onions that I chopped up. And I have my minced garlic. They were in the freezer, so they're still kind of frozen. So we're gonna just let our onions cook for a few minutes. Okay. And you're just gonna allow them, like I said, to get a little translucent. Okay, now our garlic is easier to smush. You do not want this to burn at all because you do not want your end product to have a nasty taste. Okay, so we're gonna let that go for a few minutes, and this is optional. I like mine to have just a little bit of color, so I'm gonna add just a little bit of tomato paste. Like I said, if you watch my other video, you'll see how I did all this prior to while I was coloring my meat. But because, let me just add just a little bit of water, make sure, and I'm using hot water, guys. Just a little water like this. I want to make sure our garlic is not burning. You know, get our tomato paste a little easier to work with. Okay, so we're gonna allow our tomato paste to cook for a few minutes because we don't want it to have that raw tomato paste taste. All right. So this has been cooking for a little bit. So our tomato paste is nice and cooked now. So now I'm gonna use the same liquid our turkey was cooking in. It's gonna have all that fabulous flavor. And also, I have some hot water that I was boiling. And now to our boiling water, I'm going to add my corn. I mean, you could cut them up smaller because these are fresh. It's kind of harder to cut them. So I'm putting them in just a little bit bigger. But if you use the frozen ones, while they're frozen, it's easier to cut them a little smaller. And now we're going to add our plantains. And you could cut your vegetables as big or as small, but you want to make sure they're not too small because you don't want them to break. I'm going to also put in my yellow yams. You could put potatoes in here if you want. Malanga, I mean, whatever vegetable you like. Yuca, I mean, don't let anyone tell you you must put this or you must put that. I mean, it's whatever your family likes. So I'm going to put the carrots on. Some in. Although the carrots don't take long to cook, but they hold up pretty well. They won't break. So I'm going to add them in now. The only thing I'm leaving for the end is my sweet potato. I have some unbleached flour. To my flour, I'm just gonna add some salt. Just a little bit of salt. That's more than enough. I'm gonna mix it, making sure there's salt all over. Then you wanna get some water from your faucet. You don't wanna put too much water in. And I did not measure the flour, so it's just your eyes. I mean, cooking is just a matter of using your taste buds and your eyeballs. All right, guys. That's how I learned. And thank God my parents showed me how to cook this way so I don't have to depend on a recipe. Okay? And you feel for your consistency. Let me remove my ring. My hands are washed. I'm gonna remove my rings. And then you create a ball. All right? And if you notice, my ball is not too dry. It's not too wet. So if I need some more water, it looks like I may need a little bit of water. So I'm gonna add just a little bit, not much, like that. Okay, I'm gonna fold that in. Just form into a dough. See? You get into like a nice ball like this. And I'm not gonna add any more water. So now you're gonna knead it just a little bit. I mean, we're not making, bread, so you don't need that much kneading. Just a little bit, guys. Okay, now once you're done kneading it, you're gonna allow it to rest for about a minute, just so we can allow the gluten to rest a little bit, so it won't be hard, okay? So now you're gonna take a piece of dough, put it in the middle of your hands, and you're gonna roll it, all right? This is why it's important that the person that's making it, your hands has to be clean. That's why I don't buy it from restaurants. I mean, we usually serve this at funerals. I don't eat it because I don't know who's rolling the dumplings. All right, so I'm gonna continue putting that in. Then I'll come back and show you what I do next. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add my watercress in. I'm making a large amount because this is gonna last until tomorrow. Okay. I'm gonna also add my crabs back. I have removed the Scotch bonnet because I didn't want it to burst in here, because we definitely do not want this to be too spicy. I'm gonna add some more thyme in, add some more parsley in here. And now I'm gonna add my frozen, it's hot. I'm adding my frozen spinach in. Okay, make sure you get all that in there. It's important that, like I said, you do not want to drop it in there cold, because it's gonna mess up the temperature of your dish. Okay. And if you want more greens in there, you can. If you want less, you can add less, but I mean, the more the better it is, in my opinion. Okay, so it's starting to look fabulous. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in, well, first we want to taste it, because remember, we add a lot of liquid. It is tasting fabulous, but it needs a little salt. So first of all, I'm gonna add some garlic powder, because I like garlic powder. Instead of salt, I'm gonna use some of my chicken seasoning. And you could use your Maggi if you want, but I'm not using Maggi. Okay, about this much, which is not much at all. Squeeze some fresh lime in there. And I'm using just half of a lime. I'm gonna make sure everything is nice and balanced. Okay. And a little bit of adobo. And this should be where it needs to be. Very good. I like to add a little bit of my Haitian hot sauce in here. So I'm gonna take a little bit like this, okay? Like that. So guys, just a little kick. Oh, that smells good. All right, so flavor-wise, it is perfect where it's at. Now I'm gonna add in my sweet potatoes because these do not take long to cook. So that's why I kind of put them in a little bit towards the end. And I'm gonna also add some butter. And we're just gonna give it a stir. I'm gonna add our meat back in. And if you notice, I didn't put a lot of turkey neck in here because, I mean, it's mainly for my husband. So I'm just gonna eat the vegetables. I don't care too much about the meat. And last but not least, we're gonna allow our snow crabs to cook in here as well. Smells amazing, guys. So I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna allow this to cook until all our vegetables are nice and tender, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. All right, guys, here is our fabulous, fabulous, fabulous bouillon. Do you see this? Our turkey is looking fabulous. It is nice and flavorful. Until next time, like, comment. Do not forget to subscribe.